my first flight from St. Croix to Fort Lauderdale. Somehow, by God's grace alone, I was able to score a window seat. Shout out to the algorithm of Spirit for allowing that. And yeah, on my second flight, about to fly from Fort Lauderdale into BWI. I was able to get somebody on the line from neurology, and they did confirm that he did come out of the surgery okay. They've been able to reduce the bleeding on his brain, and he's going to be coming out of anesthesia soon. So that's really good news. I had asked that nobody be invited to the hospital because I don't want the circus. I just don't have the capacity to deal with people right now, and I know I'm not going to be pleasant at all. I'm not going to be accommodating. But of course, I told that to my brother-in-law. But of course, Theo doesn't listen to my brother-in-law, so he invited somebody up there anyway. So that means when I get there, I have to be the asshole and kick everybody out of the hospital because y'all don't listen. So that's where we are. We about to be wheels up. I give you the update when I get there. Okay. It is 1:45 a.m. I am here with Nick in the hospital, and by God's grace, the nurse allowed me to stay here with him overnight, which she is not supposed to do. But she allowed me to stay. When I got here, Nick is, of course, covered in tubes. He's sedated. He's on several drips for hydration and high blood pressure medicine. They're managing his blood pressure. It had shot up to 220 over 110. And so they're managing that. And he had to get a cranial surgery to reduce the pressure on his brain because he was having a brain bleed. But he's doing okay right now. He's stable. And I was just explaining to the doctor, not to the doctor, to the nurse, that he had been having headaches for years, actually. But he had been taking BC powders, and I had talked to him months before and told him he needed to stop taking them because for Black people in particular, there is a rare side effect of hemorrhagic stroke. So I told him, I said, you need to find something else to take. And he just continued to take them. So most recently, I think it was like Monday. Let's see, it's Sunday or Monday. Today is Friday. Today is Saturday. But Sunday or Monday, he came into the bedroom and he was taking the BC powders. Like, he just walked in with the packets or whatever and start ripping them open and just, taking them. And put the little packets, the empty packets on the dresser. I didn't say nothing about it, because if you're going to do what you're going to do, I'm not going to nag you about it. We already had this conversation, and clearly this is what you want to do. But I did take note, though, that he took like 3 of them. Now, you're only supposed to take one every 6 hours. And I'm pretty sure he took 2 or 3 of them at the same time. I don't know how often he was doing that. But I happened to see it that time. I also don't know if he had taken some the day that he had the stroke. Now, what the nurse said to me is if he had been having those headaches like that ongoing, the headaches themselves could have been a brain bleed. And taking the BC powders could have been just an exacerbating factor. They just made it worse because BC powders thin your blood. So if he was already experiencing a minor brain bleed, some type of lesion, and then he took the BC powders, over time, of course, it's just gonna make things tremendously worse. So she put that in his notes and everything. She was gracious enough to look up the information that I was telling her about the BC powders, which I am thankful for because, sometimes medical professionals feel like they know more than you. So when you try to give some information that can be helpful, sometimes they just brush it to the side or they just go with their own, understanding or diagnosis or whatever. But she's a young nurse and she's still young enough to care and to listen. And so I thank God that this is the person who is taking care of him. Okay, it is 3:34 a.m. I'm still up. They just took Nick to have his CT scan. I'm glad I didn't go to sleep because they told me they were going to do it at 5. They ended up doing it now. So as soon as he comes out, they'll let me know whether or not there's more bleeding or, basically how things are looking. Okay, so it is Sunday, November the 13th, a little after 8:30 p.m. I left Nick at the hospital about 6 p.m. Visiting hours are over at 8. So I went ahead and just checked into the hotel and got me a much needed shower because I had not showered in 2 days. And I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. Last night when I stayed with him at the hotel, they gave me a reclining chair and I said I didn't have any pillow for the reclining chair. I just had my little airport blanket. It was not a pleasant experience. And I didn't really sleep because, as you saw, I was up until at least 4 a.m. And then I was up until 4. And then I went to sleep, but I wanted to make sure that I was up again by 7:30, 8 o'clock. So that I could make sure that the security and everybody was informed. Don't send nobody up here. So that's how that went. So because I only got 3 hours of sleep after a 10-hour flight, and then I stayed up all day with him today, I went and got a rental car and also reached out to the people on Turo to let them know, hey, again, because I had already reached out on the day of the accident and left a voice message for them and left a text message for them letting them know that there was an accident, this is where the car is located, blah, blah, blah. I left all that on their voicemail and I sent a text. But I followed up today with an additional phone call just to make sure because I didn't get any response back. Because in my text I said, this is what's going on, blah, 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 please call me. And nobody called me. So I went ahead and called today and I spoke to the host's husband. The lady's name is, I think, Samira or something like that. And when I called, I asked for her. But he was like, oh, you can speak with me. And I'm thinking like, okay, but they're Middle Eastern or something, so I'm not even trying to like wreck y'all process. But I explained to him the whole thing, and I explained to him that I had already sent this information to her. And he's like, well, can you go into the app and can you report the accident down? Sir, listen, I just told you my husband is in the goddamn hospital with a stroke. You lucky that I even like went through this whole thing with you for a second time, because I already left the information on your fucking voicemail. Like, I'm not about to go through this whole situation with no Turo app. Number one, I don't even know. I don't have it. And even if I did have it, I can't log into Nick's account. I can't log in on his reservation or whatever. Mainly because I don't have his phone. He has a phone and some shoes in valuable possession, custody, or whatever of the hospital. They won't give it to me. They won't give it to me. They said that only he can sign for his own property. I'm like, but he's incapacitated. So what? Like, I'm his wife. I should be able to sign for his belongings. Well, no, that's not really how it works. All right. Which brings me to where we are right now, which is they don't have his clothes. The nurse said that probably they had to cut his clothes off of him when he went to the emergency room. I don't think y'all really had to cut his clothes off of him. He had a head injury. You could just undress him. But his clothes are not in the pack according to what was checked off on the bag. So I don't know where his clothes are. But wherever his clothes are, his wallet would have been in his back pocket. And so I don't know where his wallet is. And I need to be able to check on his accounts to make sure that his wallet didn't fall out when he got in the car accident, when he fell out the car, whatever happened, because he was outside of the car when they came and got him from the ambulance. So I don't know if his wallet is still in the Turo car, if it's not, if, it fell out and a crackhead, like we in Baltimore, like a crackhead could have his wallet with his credit cards, and like, I don't know, because there's no information about his wallet. And I guess tomorrow I'll have to have a conversation with his brother to see whether or not they have any of his belongings, because they have not really been forthright with me about the situation of anything. Like, they didn't tell me that all them people came up to the hospital, but they also haven't provided, or let me say, they also have not offered any information about the state of the vehicle that he was in. Like, did somebody move it? Did somebody park it? Now, my sister-in-law told me that when they pulled up, they didn't immediately go with the ambulance to Sinai because there were some loose ends that needed to be taken care of at the scene. Okay, such as what? Like, what did y'all do? See, this is the bullshit. They like to hold information close to the vest, and they don't share anything unless you pull it out of them. So you have to know that they know something and then pull it out. I don't have time for that. As soon as they contacted me when I was on my way to the airport, he should have said, okay, sis, listen, this is what it is. When we got there, the ambulance was already taken off. We had to stay at the scene. We talked to the police, blah, blah, blah. Like those are the things that I fucking need to know, but they don't find it necessary to share the information with me. So tomorrow I'm going to go to the police station and see if I can get an accident report and see if they have any of his belongings. I don't know. They could. Get a copy of the accident report, because I'm sure I'm going to need that for my insurance, his insurance, Turo's, and something is going to need an accident report. So I'm going to get that tomorrow. And what else? Oh, and so because this is so sudden and we don't have, a will and estate planning and power of attorney and all that set up. Really, I don't have a whole lot of legal jurisdiction, come to find out. I don't know if it's just a state of Maryland thing. I don't have a whole lot of legal jurisdiction when it comes to handling these affairs for him. So, I'm going to try and do what I can to contact the banks that I know that he deals with for his credit cards and stuff like that. Put holds on all of his accounts. I don't know if he has his credit reports on freeze or not, but I could probably put the freezes on his accounts because I know his social security number. So maybe I'm kind of tired. I was about to say maybe I'll do that tonight, but I'm not. I'll do it tomorrow while I'm visiting him in the hospital. I'll just take my laptop with me and I'll do it there. So I need to put his accounts on freeze, and I also need to put his social security number on freeze with the credit bureau. So I'll do that tomorrow. But yeah, so there's money in his bank account, and it was payday Friday, and we need that money to pay bills. Like, I don't work, so we need that money to pay bills. So what is going to happen next is, in order to make sure that I can handle all these things, and in order to make sure that I don't run into any other fucking situations with his family members acting a donkey and trying to override me in any aspect, I'm going to have to put Nick under conservatorship. And apparently it can only be done in the county that you live in. I'm hoping that it can be done online, or that it can be done by mail or something like that, because I really can't just fly to Arizona just to file these papers with the court. So I have to find out exactly how this has to be done, because typically you do have to file papers in person, so we can get this process started, because I need rights. Like, I have to be able to take care of him, and I have to be able to take care of him with nobody else trying to tell me what to do, and with nobody else superseding me, and to be able to use the funds in his bank account as necessary in order to pay these bills and in order to take care of him. So that's what a conservatorship is for. And it can be for like just 90 days. So that should give 90 days should give enough time. Hopefully, we don't have a prognosis right now, but I would assume 90 days would be enough time for him to be able to make some decisions on his own, and maybe even just, sign a paper for power of attorney so that I can have that going forward. So yeah. That's where we're at right now. I'm having to go to probate court and file paperwork to legally be able to make decisions for my legal spouse. This world is crazy. But, I'm willing to do that to make sure that the wishes that I know that he has are fulfilled. Not nobody else's wishes.